Hello, I'm Thomas Carruthers.
I'm Will Leggetter.
And today rounds out the movie section of our Christmas spectacular here at Spectacular. Carruthers, Leggetter and Whoever. And we are joined by a new, fresh special guest. Why don't you introduce yourself, Miss Rhian Holmes?
Hello, my name is Rhian Holmes.
I guess that's about it. No, Rhian is joining us. She is someone I met. She's a new first year in the world of my studies. And one time at a party, we found that we did a great parlor game, or whatever you want to call it. I'd say it was probably more so myself than yourself, Rhian. Not to blow my own trumpet. Just a great aptitude to recreate long stretches of today's film, Frank Capra's, I say Christmas masterpiece. No, it is Christmas. We're not going to get into that argument of people saying, oh, 2/3 of it don't take place at Christmas. It is a Christmas film. I certainly wouldn't watch it any other time of year.
No.
Yeah. But it never really has the argument, like the diehards of the world. Nobody has ever put that question on It's a Wonderful Life.
I didn't know it was a controversial topic. I thought It's a Wonderful Life was always a Christmas movie.
Yes, it's wonderful news, for when all these wonderful people get into the swim, it's a wonderful life. For never before has any film contained such a full measure of the joy of living, the drama of living, and above all, the glorious romance that makes this such a wonderful life.
No, it is. I was just reading a few things and they were like, they call it a Christmas movie.
You can't believe everything you read on the internet, Tom.
This is true. But no, I've noticed it myself. I'm like, no, in actuality, 2/3 of it aren't. I always forget, every time I sit down to watch it, I always forget how short the Clarence bit is.
Yeah.
Don't you ever get tired of just reading about things?
Yeah. Hey, what are you doing tonight?
I don't want to get married to anybody, you understand? I want to do what I want to do. And you...
I was like, is this a mistake? Have I got to like tune in for part 2?
And then he's outside, well, not Martini's, he's outside Nick's, and there's only 20 minutes left. I thought, oh, I do, and I always, it's not that I'm not, it's probably because I get so sucked in and enjoying the first 2/3.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, no, It's a Wonderful Life. I mean, for me, this is it, really. This is the best Christmas film. Scrooge second, Christmas Vacation, Gremlins, then probably Elf. But I think in actuality, it's the fact that it's a Christmas film that takes it out of the conversation for many people of greatest movies of all time. I think that because it does have that sort of critical reverence, obviously the audience adoration, but I think people sort of don't put it in those grand conversations of Citizen Kane, Casablanca, Godfathers, because it is a Christmas movie and we only watch it once a year. Will, what's your relationship with this James Stewart classic?
This is a Christmas film that I've always watched with my dad. He loves it, so it's one that we usually sit down to watch together. No one else is interested because it's black and white.
There we go. Yes, exact same thing. Even the first chat, me and my mum every year taped it for a long stretch of time, and my mum was like, "We need to watch it this year. We need to watch." And obviously, I was getting more into films, and I was like, "Well, I want to watch it. I need to watch it." And we finally watched it. Isabel didn't get through the first 10 minutes. Black and white, black and white, black and white. I'll let you know, in actuality, I screened it, well, barely. I brought my TV into the kitchen the other day, and barely got to bloody hot dog, Gowers. We didn't even get past Gowers. And they were like, "Oh, it's black and white, it's black and white." It really, really grates me. The whole black and white old argument. My sister's the worst for it. She will. When we are picking a movie, the first thing she will ask is, "When was it made?" Not who's in it, not do you like it, not what's the genre. When was it made? And that's her biggest determining factor. Rhian, do you have this sort of hatred of black and white old movies in your household, or is
Not at all. It's the same as Will, really. It's like compulsory viewing in my house, according to my dad. But it's grown on me every year. I think the older you get, the more you appreciate it.
Oh, this is the thing, and it's a very, very dark film. And you know what can be brushed off as a child viewing it, and as your experience in life continues and continues, certain factors resonate more and more, and it becomes an all the more affecting. I famously I don't have a playlist, but I have a head playlist of, if I'm in a bad mood, I'll just make it worse, and I'll YouTube the end of It's a Wonderful Life, the end of Scrooged, neither of you are Mad Men people, but there's a very upsetting group therapy scene in Mad Men that I watched. Yeah, no.
I think group therapy would be good for you.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't like coconuts.
You don't like coconuts? Say, Brainless, don't you know where coconuts come from? Look at here. From Tahiti, the Fiji Islands, the Coral Sea.
A new magazine. I never saw it before.
Of course you never. Only us explorers can get it. I've been nominated for membership in the National Geographic Society.
Is this the year you can't hear on? George Bailey, I'll love you till the day I die.
I'm going out exploring someday. You watch. And I'm going to have a couple of harems and maybe 3 or 4 wives. Wait and see.
I have that as Snap at Fam, because I didn't have enough space. It's the best acting. I firmly believe it's the best acting James Stewart's ever done.
You see the conflict, and it's just so jarring.
And just the underscoring of bloody hell, what's she playing? Kings, 3 Kings or something. I don't know. But that keeps going, and it starts grating on us too. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it starts within one of my weirdly specific favorite parts of the kid, where he's like, Sounds
he
scary,
gives him a hug. Oh.
Pulls him close, and Mary knows straight away.
Mm-hmm.
She knows absolutely straight away. And it builds, and it builds, and we spend time with it, and it builds, and it builds. And he kicks the bridge down. I don't know what that is, a plan for a new bridge, maybe, for the town. And he's like, none of this matters. It's not going to be a new bridge.
Noticed that.
Yeah, it's a big bridge. Did you like that, Will, as an architect?
I enjoyed that a lot.
The big bridge model, and then obviously in the midst of that, you have the lovely little sweet moment with Zuzu with the petals, and he puts them away, puts them in his pocket, and he lies to his daughter basically, and he puts the plate. I want to give her a drink. Close your eyes, and she'll be a whole garden. It will. Very nice, little Zuzu. What a darling child. I've got here, and then we'll see if I missed anything. I've got Gower. I've got the poison. It's the first glimpse that we're dealing with a dark film. This isn't just. I mean, you could say that the opening is pretty dark I mean, we find out we're dealing with suicide, but it's still, you know, it's the little stars, and the stars are lovely, and but you know, we're not dealing with something. And then suddenly, in the first 15 minutes, we're dealing with an old man coming to terms with the grief of his son dying, accidentally going to poison a child, and then the brutal slap of the ear, and again that realization, and he snaps it in. Oh, George! Oh, and then he pulls him close. I think that kid doesn't get enough credit.
Oh my God, yeah, the acting.
You know, so many kid performances are just terrible, and it's a bit like in Forrest Gump, where they filmed the kid stuff first, and so then Tom Hanks, whilst he was creating his Forrest, was also modelling it off the kid character. And I don't know what came first here, George the chicken or the egg, Joe Stewart or the little boy. But you can see the little things. You can see lots of little touches, and he's just marvellous in it. Yes, Dance and Walk, Angry Night, The Bank Run. That torrential rain. It's just, I guess you could say, from a realism point of view, maybe, that all of these, you know, the stroke happens at the end of the Dance and the Walk. The bank run happens the day of the wedding. But for me, that is just this world of fate that we're in, that any minute it just gets so close, shut down. And for me, the bank run is the most telling one of them. Do you like the bank run, Will?
I do.
The great Donna Reed. How much do you need? What a woman. Mary's great. I really, you know, lots of, maybe you can speak to this more, Rhian, as a woman.
Token woman.
As a token woman, and who called me out on one of my screenplays. Well, no, it was Ruby, but
I seconded it. Yeah.
Because it didn't pass the Bechdel test well. It wasn't that the women weren't very well written and so depthful and pained, but there wasn't an awkward scene that I had to shoe in where to. No, I'm kidding. But maybe you can speak to this, Rhian. I really do think Mary, and maybe we'll talk about Annie later. You know, Annie, you know, I guess, you know, with a 2020 lens, it's not great that she's one of the only speaking person of colour in it, but also I think it resembles not just the time of filmmaking, the time being presented, this small, predominantly white town, and then in the final bringing of all the money to George, there's another black woman. I mean, she doesn't get any lines, but you know, that's the filmmaking, and I don't think we can judge it for that, because in actuality, Annie is a pretty good character. Lots of great lines. There's no awkward, you know. Oh, Annie's here. You know.
I love the bit where Mara Bailey's like, "Oh, we're a couple of old maids now," and Annie says, "Speak for yourself."
I mean, it did take me a while without subtitles to understand what she was saying in the final scene. Just really go for it.
I've been saving it for a divorce if I ever get married.
You know, throwing the money out. I was saving it for a divorce. But where are we? Yeah, talking about how great Mary is.
My opinion, and then you carried on talking. No, I think Mary's just brilliant. Like, it's the whole behind every great man thing. Like, in the beginning, you're kind of led to believe that she is his obstacle, and that like she's going to be one of the things holding him back. But really, she just wants to support him, and she does so much without being kind of the shrinking Violet character. I feel like she could have been fleshed out more, but again, it's a reflection of the time.
And we have a shrinking Violet.
We do.
Not shrinking at all. Wonderful Gloria Graham, from him running back to the bridge after seeing his librarian wife, and running to the bridge, and then praying to God and then it starts snowing again. I
And
just
then
keep
his
going.
lips bleeding again.
His lips bleeding. I mean, we all know my favourite part because I quote it all the time. Smells. Oh, George, I'm bleeding, George, I'm bleeding. And then, what are you doing? Bird, I'm bleeding, bird, bleeding. And then just going home again. Mary, that's the bit. That's where here's a question: when was the first tear? When? Because it varies.
Yeah.
I usually vary, but this time was pretty early on. It was the minute. It's when it cuts to Mary when Uncle Billy's saying everybody pitched in. Mary told everybody, and it cuts to her, and she's looking over it all, and she's got that little wry smile, and it's all behind the eyes. And Donna Reed, what a woman!
Beautiful.
And but another time that usually gets me because everybody's coming up and they're saying funny jokes, and that's very sweet and very emotional. But the guy that comes up and goes, "I wouldn't have a roof over my head if it wasn't for you, George." It's getting me now. I'm welling up now, and I'm not welling up, but I'm getting something in my chest. Maybe it's the corona I've got. Day two of isolation, everybody, for those who are listening. Day 2 or day 3? 3.
2, 3.
Oh, do you count the Friday? Well, anyway, we're not getting semantic. But I wouldn't have a roof over my head if it wasn't for you, George. Will, what's? Do you cry at this if you're in the mood?
Oh yeah, it's going. It's seeing the family. It's that big. Oh, and we're back to normal. And that big sort of pressure, the relief. That's the.
Baby, I knew you'd come through. Now, here's the point. Mary, you're in on this too. Now listen. Have you got any money?
Money? Yeah. Well, a little.
Well, now listen. I want you to put every cent you've got into our stock. Do you hear? And George, I may have a job for you. That is, unless you're still married to that broken-down building and loan. Well, this is the biggest thing since radio, and I'm letting you in on the ground floor. Oh, Mary.
Well, I'm here.
Will you tell that guy I'm giving him the chance of a lifetime? Do you hear? The chance of a lifetime.
He says it's the chance of a lifetime.
Now, you listen to me. I don't want any plastics, and I don't want any ground floors, and I don't want to get married ever to anyone. You understand that? I want to do what I want to do. And you're...
George.
Mary.
And then another one, 25, I've instructed my office, $25,000, hee-haw, Sam Wainwright, and just that moment of silence before, you can see it. It's just the exceptional acting from Stuart. Again, it's all behind the eyes, as well as his wonderful speech. Rhian, what's your open the taps moment?
See, for me, it was like building when he sees the kids, and then he sees Mary, and then it's when everyone just starts coming in, and like even the funny, like you say, the funny like quips, they just get to you.
And
brilliant.
Here's to George Bailey, the richest man in town.
The richest man in town.
Incredible.
Oh, that was like the rolling moment.
An Auld Lang Syne. I'm gonna bust this one now. Me and Will have had this debate. I want Rhian. I think this is the question that hangs over all of Carruthers, Leggetter Whoever. What is the best Auld Lang Syne moment in a film? Is it this, The Apartment, or When Harry Met Sally?
Oh. See, it's got to be this, because it's like it's like this song is so depressing. As brought up in When Harry Met Sally, what does this song even mean? Are we saying that we should forget old friends? Are we saying that we remember them? Or should we say that maybe it's to say that we should never forget that we remembered them? Anyway, it's about old friends. But I just think like this is the one time that there's actually some hope for them and for George.
Well, yes, and I'll get to my depressing theory, really depressing theory later. But just sensational. It gets you every time, and it's the triumph of the film, the build of it all. It's splendid. Tom's Whittler's specific favourite part of the film. I can't see. Oh, that's right. You haven't got your wings yet. I just love that. We're seeing through clouds. When Mary whispers into his deaf ear, "Is this the year that you can read?"
That's what I had.
I gotta love you for the rest of my life.
Merry Christmas, Emporium! Merry Christmas, you wonderful old building and loan! Hey! Merry Christmas, Mr. Potter! Happy New Year to you! In jail. Go on home, they're waiting for you. Well, hello, Mr. Bank Examiner. How?
Mr. Bailey, there's a deficit.
I know, $8,000.
George, I've got a little paper.
I'll bet it's a warrant for my arrest. Isn't it wonderful? I'm going to jail.
Sad. The wedding house, lovely Mary. The meeting with Potter, and he begs basically. Well, no, both of the Potter meetings, when he tries to buy him out. God, there's dogs.
I think there's somebody at the door.
There's somebody at the door. And the bar, not Nick's bar, Martini's bar, where he's all sad. And he starts praying. Very upsetting. Best line. Will, kick us off.
Hello. I just like the sort of the bit where he's like, well, you really have lived a wonderful life, George. And any movie where they say the title of the movie and everyone looks at each other and goes, oh.
I am very thankful that this movie doesn't end with George pulling Mary close and going, it's a wonderful life.
I'm glad they got it over and done with at an appropriate time.
Remember, George, no man is a failure who has friends, which is usually my go-to Christmas card line. People don't get it, and they're like, what's that from? And it just kills a part of me every time. They're putting up their tree on Christmas Eve.
Some people do.
It's insane.
I agree with that.
With what?
Just not, like, because people, nowadays, you get to 1st of November and people jump the gun. I like the sanctity of Christmas. At least like the week of Christmas.
Oh no, we're
like no one else agrees with me. Like I will go home and my tree will be up. But I think
first week in December is good because the build up to Christmas is better than Christmas itself.
Jesus Christ! Fucking hell!
The more you build it up, the more disappointed you're bound to be because it's
but we're not children anymore. It's not like we're like building up thinking we're going to get a mountain of presents and then we get like a lot of presents, but just
it's got to the stage where I actually start asking for socks. I enjoy it. I relish it.
I do look forward to getting a cologne.
A cologne?
Yes. This is a Twilight Zone episode. Number 12 looks like you. I opened my present and it turns into what's it? Be right back.
Yeah, with Donald Gleason.
With Donald. And what's her face? Bloody hell. What's her name? Hayley Atwell. You're a Black Mirror person, Rhian?
I am, but I haven't seen them all.
No. There's that then, is there? There's that then. The pig one's the best one. That was a big question. Right, here's two really depressing. Mary's wish is George's curse. We are in a film where angels and wishes all exist. So effectively, Mary's wish that they will live in that house and they will fall in love is George's curse. Mary is to blame for George never leaving Bedford Falls.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Good idea, Ernie. A toast. To my big brother, George, the richest man in town. Christmas present from a very dear friend of mine.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right. That's right. Attaboy, Clyde.
But also he has the
25,000
opportunity to go. The thing that really keeps him isn't the bank closing, isn't his dad dying, isn't Harry coming back. The thing that keeps him is his own need to please and the fact that he lives for other people.
You're saying that George is a giver?
Yes. He's like put in this terrible compromising position, but it's essentially his choices. And that's why it's so sad. Because yes, he feels trapped, but also it's just because he's a compassionate, selfless man that he does all these things.
He's just great, isn't he?
He's just great. And Mary loves him for that. And so you can't be like, oh, she's holding him back. Because part and parcel of him staying is that she wants him to be happy, which is why she kicks him out when he gets all moody at her. She's like, if this isn't the life you want, then go. But he comes back.
Plastic should probably go on the floor.
So you are right, but you're also wrong.
It's good, but it's not great. And then the depressing factor of this is, It's a Wonderful Life is a very different movie if he doesn't have a wife and children. I mean, we know what the film's stance on marriage and companionship is, but if George is a lonely man, and then it's a very different ending, because eventually all those people have to leave, and then he still goes to bed and faces Christmas morning alone.
Jesus.
Well, no. No, that's what my mum says. Anytime I go for a breakup, well, no, there's only been one, and she's like, see, look at all the friends you have. And I go, yeah, but if George Bailey didn't have Mary, then he'd still be waking up alone. There's some deep-rooted narcissism there, I guess. Poor George. But it's not poor George. He's got a lovely wife and he's got 4 kids.
You have to consider George Bailey at your age was still single and didn't know what he was doing.
No, he wasn't. He was with Mary. No, he wasn't. He was with Mary. He had found the love of his life. No, what was I going to say? When I said, and you've got 4 kids, it was literally the way that Kim Woodburn says it when she's having a go. The guy who was on Strictly, and she was like, you're an adulterer, you cheated on your wife, and you've got 4 kids. And then the bodyguard comes up to her, and she's like, oh, darling, please, you're an adulterer. I wouldn't piss on you if you were on... No, he says, I wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. And then she goes, and I wouldn't shit on you if you were on fire. Oh, God. What's the better Big Brother moment? Is it that, or is it
David's dead?
David's dead. David's dead. Oh, David? David's dead? Yes, not that David, my ex-husband. She just told me David jumped in a cancer.
It's after that where she stood outside and she's just laughing maniacally to herself.
Oh, she's gonna die. No, my favorite bit's when Angie Bowie's all alone and she's like, "No, I've done it now, Big Brother. I've done it now. You're gonna have to help me, Big Brother." Talking to Clarence, maybe. Just excellent stuff. That's it. Closing line, Hall of Fame. Should all the Quins be forgot? Attaboy, Clarence. Attaboy. And
to George
indeed.
Bailey, the richest man in town.
Yes, to George Bailey, the richest man in town. Well, any final comments on this marvelous film?
It's very good, isn't it? It's a good one.
It is indeed. Rhian.
It's just a brilliant commentary on camaraderie of the working class. The FBI actually were told to keep a close watch on this film. It was deemed communist propaganda.
Well, it does. It is a bit, isn't it?
Well, yeah, because it's like, the man, the big business owner is deemed as like the villain.
Well, they always kept their eye on Frank Capra because all of his films, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, bring down Washington. These are big themes for 40s films.
Yeah.
No, Mr. Smith's 30s, I believe. And anyway, just splendid. It is the greatest Christmas movie. The minute this podcast ends, I'm going to be writing an article for the blog. Everybody go follow the blog. About how it's still the best Christmas movie. There is just no doubt in my mind. I think it's one of the best films ever made. I think it's flawless. It's just perfect. I adore it, and I always will do. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Da ba da ba da ba da da.